today's exciting episode, we're going to be working on the 12-volt electrical system, aren't we? We've put some lights in the van. Yeah, put some lights in the van. I run a volt sensing relay from the engine bay, and of course to get the lights done, I finish off the ceiling doing the last little bits. At the end of each video, I pop in a little preview of what to expect in the next episode. So watch to the end to see what I'm going to be doing next time as well. And remember to like and subscribe. So this part of the van is where the electrical cupboard's going to be. And the main way I will charge the leisure battery down here is going to be off of the starter battery. And in order to achieve that, I've got to run battery cable between the two batteries and then install a volt sensing relay, which I'll describe in a minute. But I've already run some rope along the route through the van that I want to use. I did that on my Instagram story, so I'll put a link to that below if you want to check it out. So in order to pull this through, I'm going to put a ring connector onto the end of the battery cable, and then I can tie this onto it, and then I can pull it all through. So as you can see, I've already put the 16mm squared cable inside of a split flexible conduit, and then I'll just run this entire thing through. Okay, so I've got this crimped, I've got the connector on. I'm just gonna pop a little bit of tape around here, try and prevent it from catching too much when I pull it through. There. Oh, come on. Okay, so what we've got here is a very rudimentary and probably not at all safe, but it's alright, it's just a short test. So this is the cable that comes from the battery in the engine bay under the bonnet. So this comes round into the volt sensitive relay, and then we've got a fuse, and then this comes into the battery. This battery is from an old Halford's jump start kit. The battery's wrecked, it doesn't hold charge very well, but it holds enough for the purposes of this demonstration. So coming out of the fuse box, we've got power coming into the switch, and then another positive cable coming out of the switch into the accessory, which in this case is the light, and then the light and the switch are grounded back onto the fuse. So now I'm going to flick the switch. It may just be that there's such little charge in this. So I'll go turn the engine on, which should start the volt sensitive relay. Okay, we've got a light on the VSR. Alright, let's give it one more try. 3, 2, 1. Yeah! Yes! So with that test successful, I know that, I guess my basic understanding of the wiring is alright. It doesn't get much more complicated than that, to be honest. I'll just be doing it over a slightly larger distance. And so now I can start running conduit. It makes more sense to me to do the lights before the sockets, because with the nights closing in, I'm not sure when the clocks change, but having all of the lights in will make it much easier to do the rest of the stuff inside the van. This is meant to be the last nice day for 2 weeks or something, or the only dry day in the next 2 weeks. So although I'd like to just crack on with getting the conduit and the cables all in place, I think it would be really prudent to focus this evening on cutting the holes. So the instructions call for a cutout of 58mm. Now, it would be far more in keeping with this entire build series to take it down properly, measure it out really nicely, but to be honest, I don't have the time. This is again, as I've already said, this is the last sunny day in ages, and I just need to get these holes in before it gets dark. So I'm going to drill them straight through. Here we go. Oh, no. There we go. Now I want to have 2 light switches controlling the same 4 lights. I want one of them by the door so I can flip them off. So I can switch them off on my way in and out of the van, and I'd also like one near where my head will be in bed so I can turn them off before I go to sleep. So the route that my cable will take is from the electrical cupboard in the back of the van. I'll run along here to the first switch, then I'll take it up. I'm going to take it along towards the front of the van. I'm going to bring it across and down to where the switch will be, then I'll come back up and move to my first light, my second light, my third light and my fourth light. So I've got my conduit and I pulled the cable out, so it comes through here, and then the light is about here, so then I pull this round and loop it to come back to there, and I'll add a little extra just to be sure I've got enough. And then that way, when this is wired in, I can just put one piece of conduit around this to save space and be a bit more efficient. And then I'll do the same for this one. So here, add a bit extra and come back to here. Next I'm going to strip the sheathing off of this and then strip each of the 2 inner cores, then I can crimp them onto the light itself. At the moment the cables protrude down, which means that when I put the ceiling piece up it's going to add a bit of bend to it. So I'm just going to try and take a little chunk out of this batten so that the cable fits snugly and doesn't interfere. So now I can just about get this cable, if I make sure it's flat, to not interfere with the ceiling piece. So you can see here I've only got 2 more bits of insulation, well 4, because I've got the ones on the other end of the van to do. But these pieces are actually half the thickness. So these slot into here, like so, And that leaves just the right gap for the cable with conduit to slot in, and I don't have to faff around with taking channels out of existing pieces, so it's a really nice solution. I'm pretty pleased with that one. Right, so last thing I'm going to do tonight is just check the wiring for each of the 4 lights, and if that's fine, then I know tomorrow I can just seal the vapor barrier with tape, essentially get the ceiling panels up on a more permanent basis. Then I can crimp the lights in, because once they're crimped in it's hard to get them out. It's a more secure method, but you can't just plug it in and unplug it to test. So I want to test now, know that my wiring's sound, and then tomorrow I'll get them in permanently. There's 1, there's 2, 3, and 4. So I've cut a 20cm strip of vapor barrier that acts a little bit like a skirt. It has to go up before the ceiling panel goes up for the last time, because it comes underneath and it's taped. And essentially, the way I've done this is it means that I can still access underneath to get this insulated, but it puts that top piece up so that I can get on and finish the ceiling instead of having to do the entire wall before I can get the ceiling done. So I'm just doing the last little bits on the ceiling. There's a few places that need, the seams that need taping, as well as the channels for the cables. Everything needs to be watertight, I guess. There needs to be a seal so that the vapor barrier can work. So what we've got here is, I guess it's like a service hatch. I can still, even when the ceiling panels are up, I can still access this by folding them back, and then when everything's done and I am completely happy that I don't need to do anything more with the cabling, I can just fold it shut and tape it. Before I get the roof up, I just am doing a once over on everything, and I've realised here this is a big no-no. I've crimped these, but the cables coming out, these are going to be put together and then they're going to touch, and it's just going to short all the time. So I need to heat shrink each one of these before I heat shrink the whole thing when I've put the light in. Okay, here goes. I'm going to tape the light to the ceiling, that way I don't have to hold it as well. Yep. So thanks again for watching. I really appreciate all of the likes and subscribes and the comments as well. They're always interesting to read. And I'll see you next time.